The screaming started before anyone saw it. A deep, guttural roar echoed through the storm, not mechanical, not alien, alive. Sergeant Marcus Hale froze mid-step on the rain-slick ridge, his visor flickering as lightning tore across the sky. The ocean below churned like a living monster, waves smashing against black with enough force to crush steel. Then he saw it. A royal alien transport hovered silently above the chaos, sleek, glowing, untouched by the storm. Too clean, too calm, like it didn't belong in a world that was trying to tear itself apart. "Command, you seeing this?" Marcus muttered. No response. Just static. Another roar split the air, louder this time. Desperate. Marcus adjusted his scope, zooming in on the underside of the ship, and his breath caught. A containment field flickered open. Inside it, something massive thrashed violently, golden fur soaked, claws slamming against invisible walls, eyes wide with panic. A lion. No, bigger, stronger, not from Earth, but unmistakably a lion. And it was terrified. What the hell are they doing? Marcus whispered. As if answering him, a figure stepped forward inside the ship, tall, regal, unmoving. The alien princess. Even from this distance, her posture screamed authority. Cold, detached, she didn't hesitate. With a single motion of her hand, the containment field vanished. For a split second, the creature hung in the air, suspended between safety and death. Then gravity took it. It fell. The roar that followed wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. Pure, helpless fear as the beast slammed into the raging ocean below and disappeared beneath the waves. Marcus's heart slammed against his ribs. No. The transport didn't move, didn't react. It just hovered there, as if nothing had happened. Command, they just dumped a live creature into the water. Marcus barked. Still nothing. Lightning flashed again, and for a brief moment, he saw it, a shape beneath the waves. Struggling, sinking, fighting to stay alive against a world that wanted it dead. Marcus clenched his fists. His orders were clear. Observe, don't engage. This wasn't his mission. This wasn't his problem. Another roar broke through the storm, weaker this time. Drowning. Marcus exhaled slowly, then ripped off his rifle and dropped it into the mud. Yeah, screw the mission. Before he could think twice, he sprinted toward the edge of the cliff. Rain blinded him. Wind nearly knocked him off balance. The ocean below looked like certain death. Behind him, his comm crackled to life. "Sergeant Hale, stand down. That is a direct." Marcus didn't listen. He jumped. The freezing water hit like a hammer, stealing the air from his lungs as the current dragged him under. Darkness swallowed everything. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, movement. A massive shadow thrashed nearby. Claws, teeth, panic. The lion was still alive, but not for long. Marcus forced himself forward through crushing water, every instinct screaming at him to turn back. The creature lashed out blindly, its strength terrifying even in its weakened state. One wrong move, and it would tear him apart. "Easy, easy," Marcus muttered, though the words vanished into the water. The lion's eyes snapped toward him. For a split second, time stopped. Two predators. One desperate moment. Then the creature lunged. Marcus barely dodged, grabbing onto its soaked men as the current tried to rip them apart. The beast roared, a violent, panic sound, but it didn't strike again. It was too tired, too scared, too close to dying. "Yeah, I'm not letting you go," Marcus growled, locking his grip tighter. Above them, lightning flashed again, illuminating the surface far, far away, too far. Marcus kicked hard, dragging the massive weight with him inch by inch. His lungs burned. His strength faded. This was impossible. They weren't going to make it. The lion stopped struggling. Its body went heavy, sinking. Marcus's vision blurred. No, not like this. With the last of his strength, he pulled upward, refusing to let go. And just before darkness claimed him, the surface broke. "Hey!" Marcus exploded through the surface, dragging in a ragged, desperate breath as the storm immediately tried to shove him back under. Waves crashed over his head, salt burning his lungs, his arms screaming from the weight he refused to release. The lion was still with him. Barely. Its massive body floated beside him, unmoving except for the violent rise and fall of the ocean. The golden fur that once shone with power now clung dark and heavy to its frame. Its eyes were half open, unfocused, dying. "Hey! Hey!" Marcus coughed, choking on seawater as he forced his arm under the creature's neck. "Stay with me. You don't get to quit now." Another wave slammed into them, spinning both man and beast. Marcus nearly lost his grip, his fingers slipping through soaked fur, but he locked down harder, teeth gritted. The shore. He twisted his head, blinking rain out of his eyes. Through flashes of lightning, he spotted Jagged ahead. Sharp, dangerous, but it was the only chance they had. "All right, that's a plan," he rasped. "We make it there, or we don't make it at all." The current fought him every inch. Every kick felt like pushing against a wall. The lion's weight dragged him lower and lower, its body growing heavy as exhaustion took over completely. Then suddenly, the creature jerked. Its eyes snapped fully open, and it panicked. A violent roar tore from its throat as it thrashed wildly, claws slashing through the water. One swipe barely missed Marcus's face, the force of it sending a shockwave through the sea. "Hey! Easy!" Marcus shouted, barely keeping hold as the beast nearly drowned them both. The lion didn't understand. To it, this was just another threat, another death closing in. It lunged again, pure instinct. Marcus reacted without thinking. He slammed his forearm against the side of its head, not to hurt, but to snap its focus. "Stop!" For a split second, everything froze. The storm, the waves, the chaos. The lion's golden eyes locked onto his. Not as prey, not as an enemy, just confusion, fear. Marcus's voice dropped, rough but steady. "I'm not here to kill you." The creature's breathing slowed, just slightly. Its claws, still massive and deadly, hovered inches from his chest, but didn't strike. That was all the opening he needed. "Good. Yay, that's it," Marcus murmured, shifting carefully. "You fight me. We both die. You trust me." Another wave lifted them, higher this time, closer to shore. We might actually live. For a long, fragile moment, the lion did nothing. Then it stopped fighting. Not completely, not calmly, but enough to survive. Marcus didn't waste a second. He hooked his arm tighter around its neck and kicked with everything he had left. One wave, then another. The rocks were closer now, dangerously close. Water smashed against them, exploding into white foam. One wrong move and they'd both be crushed. "Hold on," Marcus growled, though he wasn't sure he was saying it to end them all. The next wave came bigger than the rest. It lifted them high, higher than before, and hurled them forward like broken pieces of driftwood. Marcus slammed into the first, pain exploding through his side. But he didn't let go. He couldn't. The lion's body followed, crashing beside him. For a terrifying second, the retreating wave tried to drag them both back into the ocean. Marcus's fingers scraped against the rock, slipping. Then he found a grip, and held. The water pulled. The storm screamed. But he held. When the wave finally receded, they were still there, alive. Marcus collapsed onto the cold stone, chest heaving violently as every muscle in his body gave out at once. For several long seconds, he couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't feel anything except the brutal pounding of his heart. Then, a sound, low, weak. He turned his head slowly. The lion lay a few feet away, sides barely rising, water spilling from its jaws. Its eyes flickered, struggling to stay open. Still alive, Marcus let out a shaky breath, almost a laugh. "Yeah, you're not getting rid of me that easy." Carefully, painfully, he pushed himself up and crawled closer. Every instinct screamed at him that this was a terrible idea. The creature could still tear him apart in a heartbeat. But it didn't move, didn't growl, didn't resist. Marcus hesitated for just a moment, then slowly placed a hand against its soaked fur. The lion tensed. Its eyes snapped to his. There it was again, that moment, that thin line between life and death. Marcus didn't pull back. "It's all right," he said quietly. "You're safe." The word meant nothing to the creature, but the tone did. The tension in its body eased, just slightly. Not trust, not yet, But not fear either. Something in between. The storm still raged above them, lightning tearing across the sky like war itself had come alive. But here, on that broken stretch of rock, a human and a beast lay side by side, both alive when they shouldn't be, both breathing because the other refused to give up. Marcus leaned back against the stone, exhausted beyond words. "Guess you're coming with me," he muttered. The lion didn't respond, but it didn't leave either. The first thing Marcus heard was screaming. "What the hell is that?" Boots pounded against metal as floodlights snapped on, cutting through the storm dark like blades. The shoreline base, quiet just minutes ago, had erupted into chaos. Marcus barely had time to sit up before rifles were aimed straight at him, and at the lion. "Don't move," a soldier shouted. "Step away from the creature. Sergeant." Marcus raised one hand slowly, the other still resting against the soaked fur beside him. His voice was rough, exhausted, but firm. "Easy, nobody fires." "Nobody fires," another snapped. "That thing is a class unknown alien predator." As if on cue, the lion stirred. A low, warning growl rolled from its chest. Weak, but enough to make every soldier tense. Safety clicks echoed in unison. Marcus didn't look at them. His eyes stayed locked on the creature. Hey, it's all right," he murmured quietly. "Don't react. Not now." The lion's ears twitched. Its breathing hitched. It was awake, fully awake this time, and surrounded. Panic flickered in its golden eyes again. Claws flexed against the rock. Muscles tightened. One wrong move, and this entire beach would turn into a bloodbath. "Sergeant Hale," came a sharp voice over comms, now crystal clear. "Stand down immediately. That is an order. The creature will be terminated." Marcus's jaw tightened. "No." The word cut through the tension like a blade. Every soldier froze. "Repeat that," the commander said, disbelief creeping in. "I said no," Marcus replied, pushing himself slowly to his feet, placing himself directly between the rifles and the lion. "It's not attacking. It's not a threat." A soldier scoffed. "It's a giant alien lion." "Sir?" "That's a definition of a threat." Behind him, the lion tried to stand, but its legs buckled instantly. It collapsed back onto the rock with a heavy thud, a strained breath escaping its lungs. Weak. Too weak to fight. Too weak to run. Marcus saw it, and so did everyone else. "So, permission to fire," one of them said. "Quieter now." Marcus shook his head. "You shoot it," he said slowly. "You shoot through me." Silence. The storm roared overhead, but down here, on the shattered shoreline, everything held still. Then, "Stand down." The command came sharp and final. Weapons lowered, reluctantly, nervously, but they lowered. Marcus exhaled, tension easing just slightly. "Medical team, move in," the commander added. And someone explained to me why Sergeant Hale just risked his life for a wild animal. Marcus didn't answer. He was already kneeling again beside the lion. Up close, the damage was worse than he thought. Deep exhaustion, water in the lungs, cuts along its body from. Its breathing was uneven, fragile. "Yeah, you're not in great shape," Marcus muttered. The lion's eye shifted toward him, still watching, still aware, but no longer fighting. Carefully, Marcus reached out again, slower this time, giving it every chance to react, to attack, to reject him. His hand touched its fur. The lion tensed, but didn't move, didn't growl, didn't strike. Instead, it let him. A medic approached cautiously. "So, we need to sedate it before transport." "No," Marcus said instantly. "Sir, with all due respect." "No sedation," he repeated. "You try that, it panics again. It won't survive another fight." The medic hesitated. "Then how do you expect us to move it?" Marcus glanced down at the creature, then back at them, carefully. It took time, a lot of time. Every movement was slow, deliberate. A stretcher was brought in, reinforced, barely large enough. The soldiers kept their distance, watching for any sudden aggression. But it never came. The lion stayed still, eyes open, tracking Marcus the entire time. When they finally lifted it, its body tense again, a low growl rumbling deep in its chest. Marcus stepped closer instantly. Hey, I'm right here. The growl faded. Just like that. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. Is it listening to him? One whispered. Impossible, another replied. But they all saw it. They all felt it. This wasn't control. It wasn't dominance. It was something else. Something none of them understood. Hours later, the base was quieter, controlled, but the tension hadn't gone anywhere. The lion lay inside a reinforced containment room, not a cage, but close enough. Medical equipment surrounded it, scanning, analyzing, trying to understand what exactly it was. Marcus stood just outside the barrier, watching, waiting. You're pushing your luck, Hale. He didn't tone. He recognized the voice instantly. Commander Elias Vaughn stepped beside him, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the creature. That thing, Vaughn continued, was thrown away by an alien royal. You don't discard something like that unless it's dangerous. Marcus nodded slightly. Or unless you think it's worthless. Vaughn glanced at him. And you think it's not? Marcus looked back at the lion. It wasn't thrashing anymore. Wasn't panicking. Just breathing. Alive. I think, Marcus said quietly, it was left to die. Inside the room, the lion's eyes opened slowly and locked onto him again. Always him. Vaughn noticed. His expression shifted, just a fraction. It's imprinting on you, he said. Marcus frowned. It's not a bird, so. No, Vaughn replied. It's something we don't understand. Before Marcus could respond, an alarm blared. Sharp, sudden, urgent. Perimeter breach. Perimeter breach. The entire base snapped into motion again. Red lights flooded the corridors. Soldiers rushed past, weapons ready. Marcus turned instinctively, then stopped. Inside the containment room, the lion was moving, struggling to stand. Its body shook violently, still weak, still injured, but it forced itself up anyway, toward the barrier, toward him. Stay down, Marcus said instinctively, stepping closer. But the lion didn't listen. Its ears were locked forward, eyes narrowed, focus, not on him, but past him, on the chaos outside. Another explosion rocked the base. Closer this time. Vaughn swore. We've got incoming hostiles. Marcus's pulse spiked, and that's when he saw it. The lion wasn't afraid anymore. The fear was gone. In its place was something else. Something far more dangerous. Protective instinct. The base was still shaking when the sky changed. Marcus felt it before he saw it. A low, humming pressure rolled through the air. Deep, unnatural, powerful. The kind of presence that didn't just arrive. It announced itself. Outside, the storm began to split. Clouds twisted unnaturally as a massive shadow descended through them. Smooth, silent, and untouched by the chaos below. Marcus stepped out onto the platform, heart still racing from the attack. Soldiers scrambled around him, manning defenses, dragging equipment, shouting over comms. Then everything slowed, because everyone saw it. The Royal Alien Transport, the same one, hovering above the base like a judgment. You've got to be kidding me, Marcus muttered. Commander Vaughn stepped beside him, expression hard. That's not a coincidence. No, Marcus said quietly. It's not. A beam of pale light dropped from the underside of the ship, cutting straight through the storm. And then she appeared. The alien princess descended slowly, untouched by wind or rain. Tall, perfect, unshaken. Her presence alone forced the chaos around her into silence. Even the soldiers hesitated, not out of respect, out of instinct. Marcus's jaw tightened. That's how. Vaughn didn't look away. I figured. The princess's gaze swept across the base, cold, calculating, before stopping. On Marcus, then shifting past him, to the containment wing behind. She didn't need to say anything. She already knew. I will make this simple, she said, her voice amplified effortlessly, echoing across the entire base. Calm, controlled, absolute. You have something that belongs to me. No one spoke. No one moved. Marcus stepped forward anyway. It's not an object, he said. Her eyes returned to him. For the first time, There was recognition. "You," she said softly. "The human who interfered." "Yeah," Marcus replied. "The one who didn't let it drown." A flicker of something crossed her expression. Not anger, not surprise, annoyance. "You have disrupted a royal decision," she said. "That creature was discarded." Marcus shook his head. "It was alive." "It was defective," she corrected instantly. "Unstable, disobedient." Behind him, another explosion echoed from the far perimeter, a reminder that the base was still under threat. But neither of them acknowledged it. This was a real conflict now. Marcus took another step forward. "It was drowning," he said. "That's not disposal. That's execution." A dangerous silence followed. The princess studied him, not as an equal, but as something inconvenient. Then, "Return it," she said. Not a request, a command. Commander Vaughn stepped in. "With all due respect, you're in no position to issue demands. This is a military." He didn't finish. The princess raised one hand slightly, and every system in the base flickered. Lights dimmed. Weapons powered down. Comms cut to static. Powerless. Just like that. Her gaze never left Marcus. "I am not asking again." The message was clear. This could end peacefully, or it could end badly. Marcus exhaled slowly, then turned. "Open the containment room," he said. Vaughn grabbed his arm. "Hale, think about what you're doing." "I am," Marcus replied. "Trust me." After a tense second, Vaughn released him. The door slid open with a heavy hiss. Inside, the lion stood, barely. Its body still trembled from exhaustion, wounds not fully healed, but it was standing, waiting, watching. Marcus stepped inside slowly. "Hey," he said quietly. The lion's ears twitched. Its gaze locked onto him instantly, that same connection, unbroken since the ocean. Outside, the princess watched, expecting obedience, expecting control. Marcus stopped a few feet away from the creature. "You hear that?" he murmured. "Your old owner's here." The lion didn't move, didn't react. Marcus gave a small nod, then stepped aside. "Go on," he said. "Your choice." Silence. Every soldier watched, every breath held. The princess's posture remained perfectly still, but her eyes sharpened, waiting. The lion shifted, one step forward, then another, toward the exit, toward the light, toward her. Marcus didn't move, didn't call it back, didn't interfere. This wasn't his decision to make. The lion reached the threshold and stopped, its head lifted slightly, scenting the air, feeling the presence ahead. The princess took a small step forward, hand extending. "Return," she said. Simple, final. The lion's body tensed. For a moment, it looked like it would obey, like instinct would win, like training would take over. Then, it turned, not toward her, back toward Marcus. A low sound rumbled in its chest, not a growl, not anger, something deeper, something chosen. It walked back to him and stopped at his side. The reaction was instant. Shock rippled through the soldiers. Vaughn stayed, speechless, and for the first time, the princess's expression changed. Not much, but enough. "Impossible," she whispered. Marcus didn't smile, didn't gloat. He just rested a hand lightly against the lion's neck. "Yeah," he said quietly. "That's what I thought too." The air shifted. The storm above seemed to pause, like the world itself was waiting. The princess lowered her hand slowly. Her eyes, now colder than before, locked onto Marcus. "You believe it has chosen you," she said. Marcus met her gaze. "I know it has." A long silence followed. Then you will both answer for that choice." The ground beneath them trembled. Above, the massive ship began to power up, energy building, weapons charging. Vaughn swore under his breath. "Hale, what did you just start?" Marcus didn't look away from the princess. His hand remained steady on the lion's fur, something she can't control anymore. Beside him, the lion stepped forward, not afraid, not weak, ready. The ground shook, not just from the storm, not just from the ship above, from something older, something alive, something unwilling to submit. Marcus's grip on the lion tightened. The creature's golden eyes burned with focus, muscles coiled like springs ready to strike. The alien princess hovered above them, radiating authority, her ship's energy crackling like a storm itself. Soldiers scrambled, unsure whether to defend or flee. "You will obey," the princess said, her voice echoing through the storm. "You belong to me." The lion growled, not a simple threat, not just anger, a growl filled with understanding. The understanding that Marcus had risked everything to save it, and that it would not abandon him now. "Enough!" Marcus shouted over the roar of the wind. "You don't own it. You never did." The princess's eyes narrowed. "It is royal property. You defy me at your peril." The lion shifted its weight. Low, deliberate, protecting Marcus, ready to strike anyone who threatened him. Then came the first attack. The princess fired a pulse of energy from her ship. The ground exploded behind them, showering rock and water into the storm. Marcus shielded himself instinctively, but the lion stepped fully into the blast. A roar tore from its chest, a roar of defiance, of loyalty, of unbreakable bond. It didn't flinch, didn't retreat, didn't run. The human soldier stayed, heart hammering. You're insane," he muttered. The lion's eyes flicked to him, then back to the princess. It didn't attack blindly. It was deliberate, controlled. A decision had been made. Another pulse came, aimed directly at Marcus. The lion lunged, intercepting it, body smashing into the energy, claws digging into the ground as sparks and shockwaves threw both of them back. Pain exploded through Marcus's side as debris struck him, but he clutched the lion's manet, refusing to let go. The princess's expression shifted, anger now mixed with disbelief. "It cannot choose," she screamed. "It cannot defy me." But it had. The lion rose again, roaring over the storm, fully facing her. It stood not as a pet, not as a servant, not as property, but as a protector. The soldiers watched in awe. Fear, respect. Something primal stirred in them as they realized this creature had made its choice, a choice of loyalty, for trust, for life itself. The princess hesitated, energy building once more. Marcus looked down at the lion. "You okay?" he shouted over the chaos. A low rumble responded. Eyes locked. "I'm with you," he said. And in that moment, it was enough. The lion charged. Not blindly, not recklessly, but with precision. It knocked the energy pulse aside with sheer force, closing the distance between itself and the ship's controls. The princess flinched as her command systems overloaded. Sparks erupted, the ship shuddering violently. "Impossible!" she yelled. The lion roared again, triumphant, protective, fearless. It turned back to Marcus, and in its gaze, he saw something almost human: gratitude, recognition, a promise kept. Marcus staggered toward it, pain blazing in his limbs, and embraced the massive beast. The storm raged on, but they were together, two survivors, bonded by more than chance. The princess retreated, slowly, deliberately, her authority shaken, her plan undone. "You have earned it," she hissed, before the ship disengaged and vanished into the clouds, leaving only silence and rain in its wake. Marcus fell to his knees, exhausted, soaked, bleeding, but alive. The lion lowered its massive head beside him, breathing heavily. "You saved me," Marcus whispered. The lion nudged him gently, a gesture of trust and acceptance. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. The base survived. The storm faded. And somewhere deep inside both human and beast, a bond had formed that no authority, no alien royalty, no command structure, no storm could ever break. They had chosen each other, and that choice would change everything.